it's a little bit of a strange call to make. And now picking up the Alina, now everything swapping around in the cut as this draft is sort of enveloping. It's a little bit of a strange, it's a strange go abouts, I think, with the cuts draft right now. They've got a lot of good heroes, but I don't know how well they work with each other, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah, the synergy is a bit of a question mark right now. Not entirely sure what they look to put together, but I mean, we've been talking about it all day today and even yesterday as well. Flexibility for these teams with their drafts is always something that you do have to value to a certain extent, but there's a difference between flexibility and, in this case, it just kind of seems like confusion. The cut obviously have a plan for this, but it's not 100% apparent, at least from my perspective, just yet, as we see Hokori going in there with the fourth pick. They'll take the Luna for themselves. So, barring something incredibly strange, that should be Lumiere's hero in that position 1 role.
And of course, now looking at the cuts draft, the field, so we'll see his hero pool probably get focused down a little bit. I'm not sure if they're going to necessarily ban the Wraith King. Medusa's still in the pool. I don't know if they're necessarily going to want to even stretch to that hero, but we'll see when the bans come out. Whereas if you're the cut, I think you could probably make the call that they need a mid laner or they need an off laner on the side of Hokori. But again, that's why the Celestial is such a great pick, especially first overall. There's not too many heroes that sort of beat him up. It dissuades a ton of heroes, especially illusion-based ones, and you can always flex it around whether or not this is going to be an analog or a Vitaly hero. It does feel like with the Tuscan dying, you are going to want Vitaly to be on sort of an initiator. You're going to want to get someone who could follow up stun, be that disabler that you sort of don't have as of right now. Whereas if you're the cut, you've got full last pick. You're going to wait until that hero is picked up to see what SMD is going to want to play into that matchup. So right now, I think from both captains, it's really just a waiting game to see what these last few picks are going to sort of spell out the draft for us.
Yeah, a little bit of, I guess, gamesmanship to a certain point there, just trying to wait out the other for as long as possible, but you can't actually play the waiting game. Hokori do have to go first with his final pick. Before they do so, however, we do have one last ban coming in. We saw them focus on the Ursa initially in that third phase, and now one more ban coming in, some sort of melee carry. Yeah, the Troll Warlord being taken away there. So you're not entirely sure about the positioning of the rest of the Cuts heroes, but there's still a Magnus, and you still can't afford to give over someone who's just going to sort of massively outfarm you. Of course, still options in the pool for Scourge, so he's not being sort of completely shut out from this strategy, but at least you're not going to have that same sort of durability from the Troll Warlord with whatever other hero you pick, although I say that, something like a Juggernaut could maybe fill that void in terms of damage and durability, but we will have to wait and see. Before we can get there, though, the cut, one final ban of their own. Where do they think the Lesh is going? The Pugna was banned out initially, so that would at least maybe seem like the cut are leaning it towards the Lesh in a more position 3 role, but they could go for another mid ban. They could split the bans here as well. They've got plenty of time to think it over. No rush
Well,
for
and
them right
at
now.
that same time, they might be calling, if you are on Hokori's side, that it does feel like it's going to be a red 2 Lina. We did see Giant play Lina on that first day, but that's why this Magnus is just such a big question mark for me, because now it feels like SMD wants to be playing one of those melee heroes. He wants to be getting empowered and sort of accelerating that farm. But I also feel like in that same position where maybe the Lina or the Magnus, you could have picked Razor. And of course, that's sort of hindsight at this point after seeing the Lina or the Luna and having that sort of last pick in the phase. But at the same time, I'm really struggling for melee heroes that SMD is going to want to play. The only one that I can really come up with is, let's say, something like an anti-mage. But even then, he's going to be getting his own Battle Fury. It feels like there aren't too many melee heroes that get empowered that he'd really want to play. And I think with that win, we're probably going to see an analog Wind Ranger, and they're just going to go for the Medusa.
Okay, the
Okay.
Medusa will be the call, so the Mag pick really doesn't have a crazy amount of synergy with anybody, but at the end of the day, the Empower is still going to be useful for damage, and they are actually going to run it as a core hero. Tingle will be taking it to the off lane there. It does make it a little bit more dangerous, and to a certain extent, the Mag is simply going to be able to sort of call his own number, just using the Empower onto himself for, obviously not the entirety of the game, but at least for sort of certain stretches as he tries to build himself up a bit.
And I am a little bit worried, to be honest, because now you have this Wind versus Viper matchup mid. You picked it to, I guess, make the call, and they've sort of read it correctly on the Hokori side, where now you're going to have this pretty advantageous matchup where Red 2 most likely is going to skill up the E level 1, just going to tank a bunch of right clicks, and then he has to be so careful whenever he uses his mana. Otherwise, Analog is just going to sort of play around, do whatever he wants. Once he gets that Javelin, though, these side lanes are so gankable. Tangle King and Scourge McDuck, if they're ever too far forward, even if you do have that skewer, you will be able to evade maybe a little bit of the ganks. But it does feel like with Hokori's lineup, this is the first Hokori lineup I think we've seen that feels as rounded out as it is. They don't really have any disparities, I think, in this draft specifically. Whereas the cut, again, it's so about their sort of independent plays. If the cut falter on any of their lanes, it feels like this game is going to be really difficult. Hokori really are super solid.
Yeah, no immediate weaknesses. If we had to find maybe one point of concern, the Luna, the Wind Ranger, and the Leshrac, none of them are heroes who are, I guess, traditionally tanky would be the phrase that we would use, but Lumiere is almost guaranteed to build up some sort of lifesteal. Vitaly on the Lesh and the offlane is probably going to take more of a sort of tanky build, something like Greaves and or Pipe. So in the traditional sense, yeah, maybe there's a bit of a durability concern, but in terms of the itemization, I think they're going to be just fine overall. As you said, very little to sort of nitpick about this Hokori lineup. We'll see if it's going to be enough for them to take control really early on in this game, as we are going to be getting into it.
Well, and if they are able, we did see yesterday that this Medusa can definitely out-carry a Luna, especially in that 1v1. In those fights, it does become very difficult, but Luna has some scary timings. There are timings that you have to be concerned of, mainly when you get that BKB, you get that first item, usually BKB Manta style, and then suddenly you have to be scared. If you die, then this Luna gets inside of your base and it does so much damage. And at the same time, Vitaly and this Tusk are going to be able to sort of play around in the side lanes. And each time we see these sort of super push heroes, if Vitaly can get you into the tower, then Lumiere is going to be able to secure you the racks. And unless we're going to see some crazy stuff from Tingle King, we definitely could be. It really needs to be a standout performance because yet again, you have this Viper. You don't have the greatest lockdown on either of your supports. You need to get a Yules up on Giant, and that's a lot of gold. That's a lot of time that you might not have. Whereas Tingle King, it's really going to fall on his shoulders. He's the only one to empower. It really feels like if this Magnus doesn't have a very big impact on this game, I think Hokori can really walk all over you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily his fault, but yeah, Tingle King at this point, you have taken a Magnus, and he's the only hero who's going to get the full benefits from Empower. So if he does not sort of show out here, there are going to be questions as to why they really take the Magnus in the first place. If they were looking for just the same amount of sort of team fight strength, there were other options available. So it's going to be a bit rough with that extra pressure put on him, but we'll see how he responds as Giant. Yeah, that's not a great spot to be in. The LSA dodged out by everyone, and I think he's just dead. There it is. Lucent Beam comes in. Elmisho is going to be able to get the final hit, and that is first blood going Hokori's way. So excellent move forward there from Hokori. They managed to find that first kill, and while it doesn't go into Lumiere's hands, the benefit will still be there. They get a little bit more gold to start this off, and, well, the Lina just a little bit out of position. They're really only maybe a step or two away from relative safety, but that's all it takes.
Well, and if anyone does not dodge that LSA, the kill just doesn't happen straight up. It's just a nice little play coming out from everyone that really spells that kill. And it is El Misho, I think, that is able to get it. So it isn't the biggest problem, but again, this Tusk, he's going to have a little bit more gold than he otherwise should. So we'll see if that affects bottom in any way.
Misho pushing his way in. As the tag team up, not really willing to go all the way in for that. They may just wait until they have some sort of actual follow-up stun there to set Vitaly up for the splitter, but once they hit level 2, honestly, this duo could get a little bit aggressive. Pingu is going to be able to sort of buy a little bit of time with that Aphotic Shield, but yeah, you never know. That may not be enough, as what did he get? He's got the Trank Boots out there at 90 seconds into the match, so first blood benefiting him quite nicely with that Boots pickup. Meanwhile, what is going on up top? Giant in some trouble again. Lumiere and Gardic going to try to track him down, and they will get it. The decay comes through, and Hokori back-to-back kills to open this one up, both at Giant's expense. This Lina not exactly able to protect herself all too well so far, and Tingle He's got level 1 Shockwave. There wasn't a whole lot he could do either.
And that's sort of the issue where you just hit that level 2 a little bit sooner. You just eat a soul rip when you only have 340 max HP and you just take so much damage. And again, there's really isn't much that you can do aside from sort of stop these pulls that Gardic is trying to get going his way. And up until Tingle King maybe is able to get a skewer back, that's when you can see this lane get a little bit turny.
Middle lane,
onto
Almisho rotates his way in. Nice shards there to block off Red 2's escape, and they're going to be able to get him. Analog will even be the one to get the kill, so Hokori, it's not just top lane where they're sort of making these moves. That is a fantastic rotation from the Tusk. Analog tipping his teammate at the end of that as well. Well-deserved tip as Almisho is really setting up for everything here. 3-0 start for Hokori.
With these Tranquils, he's so fast. Vitaly was really only left alone for one wave, and now already back here. If Pink's not too careful, he's got another tag team. He's definitely okay with taking this fight.
He has no mana here. Abba is just going to get taken down. Nice Mystic Snake in from Scourge, but it's not going to matter. Almisho making an early case to be the man of the match here. That is a just terrifying level of activity we're seeing from him so far. 2 kills and an assist on the team's first 4. And if the cut aren't careful, this is going to get ugly pretty damn fast, as up in the top lane, Giant getting himself into a little bit of trouble. Lucent Beam will lock him down. Lumiere needs one more hit. Actually, it's Gardic coming in there with the Soul Rip, and that's going to be another kill for them. Tingle, meanwhile, nice attempt with the skewer, but this actually puts him in more danger, than he originally anticipated. He will fall back, popping the salve, but Corey, I mean, I think they're pissed off about the way the last series ended. They're just sort of taking out their frustrations on the cut, and so far, to the tune of 5 straight kills. It's been looking pretty good for them.
And you see Gardic, he's completely out of gas at this point. He might look for a suicide pretty soon here. I see his couriers coming out. But again, it's just Giant. He's not able to sort of stand up tall in these lanes. And Lumiere is taking a little bit of damage, but he just has so many stick charges. They've just been unsuccessful with all of their previous attempts.
I just want to point out on that courier for the Undying, a stack of Tangos, a Clarity, a Salve, and 3 Mangoes. Gardic is going to go about as hard as he possibly can once this courier reaches him. So he's got enough money to afford it, so rather than the suicide play, he's just going to sort of rearm and go back in as they'll jump in onto Giant. Not able to lock him down initially, though. Good play from Tingle in with the skewer. Gardic now a little bit low, but he's going to be able to throw down that tombstone, and now Giant actually isn't going to be able to get himself out of here just yet. He's taking a pretty substantial amount of damage. Almisho coming in as well with the shards. It's not enough for the trap, but it is going to push Giant back enough where he should be taken down. Snowball now coming through. And yeah, that salve goes for maybe a second or two, but it's not going to be enough. Giant will fall, but Lumiere dropping a little low himself. Gardic comes in, however, with the Soul Rip, and that's going to keep everybody stable.
And it just feels like all of the rotations coming out, specifically from Almisho, everything is coming up green. And he's been stealing bounty runes, he's been getting pulls off. Vitaly hasn't felt really hung out to dry either. Scourge is definitely getting a little bit more of this lane. Oh, red.
Okay. Nice TP in from Giant.
Ooh.
Not quite able to connect with the lockdown, though, so Almisho is going to be able to walk away, but that just goes to show the effect Almisho has right now. He just rotates his way mid almost casually, and the Viper has to fall back. Giant has to TP in to protect him. So even in a situation where Almisho isn't necessarily connecting, he is still having that impact wherever he goes. As Giant going to be able to stun him up, but there's not enough damage here from the Lina. No points up in the Dragon Slave even, so just going to be a bit of a warning shot that forces the Tusk to fall back.
And yet again, versus Medusa, this is something that teams do need to be sort of cautious of, where if you pick up a hero like Leshrac, we usually see it's Lesh or it's Timbersaw.
Red 2 in trouble mid. Nice play from Almisho. Snowball, going to keep him alive. Where's he pulling to? Right in the middle. Pingu's going to try to hit him up with that mist coil. Oh, he got it. Pingu comes in for the revenge, but that's still the Viper being taken down. So at the end of the day, if you're Almisho, you're okay with that one. That's a trade that's going to go your team's way. A little bit more in the sort of pocket for Analog after picking up that kill, and now he's got himself a double damage rune. He may be looking for a rotation as he starts making his way into the east side jungle. Almisho respawning as well. He's TPing top, so the Courier are just going to keep on going. The aggression is non-stop for them, and I don't think the Cut are really ready to deal with this play.
With the nighttime vision from the Luna, they really see everything. If they want to dive in hard onto Tingle King, who are you TPing in here? Red 2 doesn't have TP for another 15 seconds. Pingu is trying to navigate around here, but I feel like if either of these heroes show, this is just going to be a really easy dive.
Tingle's going to get jumped in on. Skewer will buy him some time, but he should still be falling. Tingle King will go down. Giant was able to clean up that tombstone at least, so he gets some gold, but he's going to die immediately afterwards. Analog picks up the double kill, that DD rune helping him to secure both of those, and Hokori just keep on charging in over and over and over again, and if there's no one on the cut who's actually capable of stopping them, there's no reason to back off.
In red too, I think he's just solo killed.
Oh, is he dead? Oh my goodness, Analog, the man knows no fear. He didn't even have the javelin before that fight started. It's just delivered to him. He gets that done just with the focus fire and the wind run.
And it feels really unfortunate because now, of course, you did get counterpicked, but you could have eluded this. You could have swapped your heroes around. You have the flexibility in your draft, but I feel like this counterpick is just feeling too awful. This is not a Viper that we're used to seeing. 0, 3, and 1, not having that many last hits either. Looks like El Micho might go down here.
Yeah, he may be taken out. Pingu's able to get him with the Aphotic Shield pump, and that is going to be a nice little bit of gold going their way. It's not quite enough to move the needle, still down by about 1,000, but they needed a kill, they get a kill. You got to be happy with that one. Pingu just looking to make any sort of play for his teammates that he possibly can. So it's not ideal, but it's money in their pockets. That's what they need. They can't afford to ask too many questions about where it comes from or how they get it.
Well, and it looks like Analog going to be able to refill his bottle, also going to pick up this Invis rune, as Red 2 really hasn't had the support coming in from any of his teammates. Pingu has been there to sort of get the cleanups and get a little bit of the rebuttals, but with the way that they're set up, Giant has not been able to make any successful rotations, and if they're not careful, this could just be more heroes going down here. At the same time, all of this is happening while Lumiere is getting relative free farm versus the Magnus, and even Vitali is having a pretty decent time bottom, and he's level 8. They've really just given him soul XP completely.
Yeah, out-leveling the Medusa at this point in time, so it's looking pretty good for Vitali. He is working his way towards the Greaves as his first major item. Arcane Boots already picked up. Working on the mech now over the next minute or two. Meanwhile, Almisho and Gardic, they're rotating in. They're looking for the fight. If they can get onto the Medusa, this would be huge. But Scourge is underneath the tower. This is not going to be easy for them. Red 2 is sort of hanging out in the tree line as well, but they will scout him out now. So they know the Viper's here, and now this may not be worth the attempt. They were thinking about it, but they're going to back off. 2 cores underneath that tier 1. Maybe a little bit more difficult, but Analog, he's coming in. With the addition of the Wind Ranger, they could go in for it. There's going to be the Snowball to start it off. Into the tag team, into the Shackle. Not going to latch, but it does set up for the Split Earth stun, and Scourge is just going to get taken down. Pingu, he tries his best, but he TP'd in a little too late. The Aphotic Shield wasn't deployed in time. Now Pingu's dead as well. Ooh.
It's just so easy for them to make these rotations, especially Red 2. They had that smoke play, and Red 2 felt that something was off. He got chased all the way down to bottom, where he stood for maybe a few moments before he saw that the mid-wave was the only place that he could farm. And at the same time, 2 heroes show over here in the Dire jungle where Lumiere's farming, so they have the easiest dive in the world. And Scourge, he's a very greedy player. He's not going to skill up his ulti until he really feels like he needs it. Doesn't even save a point because of how static his lane has been. And Hokori, it just works. They just continue to find these plays over and over that the cut aren't finding for themselves.
Yeah, it feels like it's a situation here where if you're Hokori, you are playing so aggressively, it's not a situation where you're hitting your plays and your opponent isn't hitting theirs. As you were sort of alluding to, the cut don't have any openings to go for in the first place. Although, what is this? Tingle? TPing himself mid. They could look for something. He's going to skewer his way forward. RP connecting. It's only onto Gardic, though, but that is at least going to get them 1 kill, as Gardic will fall. The problem is everyone else is going to clear out, although Analog is still on the run, turning around for the Shackle into the Split Earth stun, and that is going to force Red 2 back. But if you're the cut, I said before, you just need to get kills. You can't really be too picky about where and when, but that one feels a little bit rough. That RP could have connected onto 2. Instead, they get the least valuable hero on the map at the moment.
And now you are pushing into this mid wave, but you got to be careful. If anything could turn here.
Yeah, they're just going to play it safe as Tingle. Smart move. Just skewer yourself out. The cooldown's a little unfortunate, but no reason to give any initiative over to those Hokori heroes. Almisho was looking like he just wanted to charge in regardless of who else was in the area. Oh, that feels pretty horrible. Pingu, yeah, he's going to lose that ult, but his teammate actually going to lose his life. Tingle caught out in the south side jungle, and nothing that the cut could really do. Red 2 was out of position, and Pingu, without the ult, wasn't exactly looking to push in there to soak up that damage either. So a quick and easy kill for Hokori. That's going to lead into, I assume, another attempt onto this tier 1 tower. Vitali is waiting for the edict, but once it's back up, it's level 4, so this tower should be taken down.
And they're defending the tomb just a little bit, but they've completely surrounded this tower. And again, until this Blink Dagger is up on the Magnus, they don't really have that dynamic hero. Everything is just sitting behind this Viper, sitting behind this Medusa, and hoping for the best. And they really need to wait a very long time. That
Giant.
Giant gone.
Nothing you can do about that one. Quick initiation in for the Tusk. Analog there with the power shot to finish it off. And Giant, I mean, the trend continues. We were sort of talking about it yesterday. He was sort of acting as the human punching bag for the Cut's opponents. And unfortunately, we haven't seen much deviation here so far. 0 and 6 on that Lina. So it is not a fun time. It's a hard knock life there for that support as Giant just keeps on getting beat up at every opening. But Tingle looking to push in. They want the fight. Snowball, though, buying time. Elmisho will be falling back. Good support there from the rest of the lineup. Analog comes in with the Shackle. Vitaly connects with the Split Earth. And at this point, I don't know if the Cut really want to go any further forward. The Tingle King Mag, though, is going to push in. The RP will be committed. Connecting onto 2, but it's more of a defensive RP at this point, or maybe not. Red 2 jumping in. They're looking for the damage to get down the Laguna Blade. That's going to allow them to take Vitaly out here, so they do find a kill, but now they're starting to drop low themselves. Tingle, final right click coming in, but the shield is going to be there to absorb that damage. So he's not taken down just yet, but now Red 2 is in some trouble. The Snowball connects in onto him. Analog going to work with the focus.
All cleaned up.
Yeah, they're not making it out of this one. Analog still with the mana to push forward. He doesn't actually hit onto Tingle, though, so well, the Mag may live, and at this point, Analog has to realize his teammates are falling back. I don't think you want to stick around for much longer. The Shockwave is thrown out, but it will not connect, so they're not quite going to be able to clean that one up, but that's still a 2-for-1 trade. They lose Vitaly, but Red 2 taken down, Giant falling as well, so they're going to be happy with the overall results, pushing the lead now over 4,000 in their favor.
And with the space that they've really been granting to Lumiere, he's got really good timings, a lot faster than SMD is going for right now. He's pulled ahead quite a lot, and Luna, one of the few heroes that we see pull ahead of Medusa so consistently, and I really don't know what the Cut do, as their 4-man versus Hokori's 4-man, it's just not even close. If they ever catch this Medusa, ooh, Elmisho.
Very close, but a bit off the mark there. So Scourge counting his lucky stars there as he is going to be able to get himself away from the initial gank. He still just has to stick around here and continue to farm. He doesn't really have alternatives. So he gets away from the gank, but he can't exactly afford to just massively shift himself in terms of positioning. He's just got to sort of push his way back into the jungle and see what he can find. But elsewhere on the map, we see Giant in some trouble. Did he? I think they actually might not have had that vision. No Lucent Beam coming out to cancel the TP, so Elmisho's shards were well placed, but not quite perfect, as they do miss out on that opportunity. But now, Elmisho and Analog are going to make their way into the west side jungle. They could find Scourge here, but they're also going to find basically 4 heroes on the side of the Cut, so this may be asking a little bit too much of them, and I think at this stage, they're more interested in the tower than the fight, or maybe not. Gardic dropping down the tombstone on top of that high ground. The Shackle comes out onto 2. The Snowball, it gets him into the fight as well. Scourge going to get momentarily stunned up. Giant will be the first to fall, but I don't know if they can really deal with the Medusa right now. They don't quite have the damage. Analog is in there, but he doesn't want to fully commit forward, and looks like Hokori are going to be starting to back themselves away. Lumiere, though, was able to sort of continue pushing his way forward onto the tower, but now he may be in some trouble. Tingle connecting with the RP into the Viper Strike. The Eclipse, though, will be popped in response. Tingle's dropping pretty low here, actually, as they are going to be able to bring him down. The Luna will fall in exchange, though, and it looks like slowly but surely the Cut are going to be able to sort of turn this in their favor, as Gardic is going to be forced to TP away. He will get himself out. Analog just sort of hiding out nearby, but I don't think there's too much of an opportunity for him to push back in. Vitaly, however, you are very late to this party. He is going to try and force this anyway, and that's not good. Missing with the stun, he's going to try to hold on the high ground, as Analog will make his way forward. They're going to be able to bring down Red 2, but Vitaly has to sacrifice himself, and now your Wind Ranger, yeah, just TP out. Not much left to fight with. Giant is in too late with the LSA, and that is going to allow your Wind Ranger to get away, but for Vitaly, that, I mean, technically speaking, it'll kind of work out for him in the end, but the trade-off directly of himself for Viper is not great.
And all of this gold, if anyone is going to the hands of that Medusa, losing Lumiere that early on, it just felt like he was a little bit too far forward. He was a little bit too separated from his Undying, where before, really, Gartic was just defending his Luna to his last breath. And now you are going to allow a little bit of time towards SMD. And if he's able to get this Ags in any fashion, then we're going to see maybe an issue emerge where they do have that secondary disable. Taking this Roche is a good call, though. And with the Tusk, I don't think there's going to be very much rebuttal from the Cut.
Yeah, this one's going down pretty quickly. And I believe, yeah, the Tombstone was actually thrown in there as well. So if you're the cut, there's nothing you can do. They scan it out.
He's
They'll
got a
try.
skewer.
They've got the blink. There's no RP, though, but as you said, the skewer... Oh, no, the skewer could come in, but Analog... Well, cutting him off there with that shackle shot into the shards. That is going to force Tingle to use that skewer defensively. And at that point, there's not much more that the cut could do. Hokori are able to take the Aegis. Lumiere is going to be able to pick it up, and that will help them push that lead even further forward. Now 5k ahead, and a rather sizable tactical advantage heading into this next fight with 2 lives up on Lumiere.
And now it just feels like this is going to be the Aegis where they start to translate some of those objectives, get some of these tier 2 towers. Smoke on Analog, this is big.
Okay, in there onto Analog. The RP even going to be committed just to keep him locked down. Can they get the kill? Yes, they can. Laguna comes in there. Red 2 will get the kill with the Nether Toxin and the poison attacks, and that is big. You may not be able to take down Lumiere right now with those 2 lives, but Analog, not nearly as safe. That does cost you the RP, but I mean, what else were you really going to use the RP for in that particular instance? There's no sort of 5-man fight that you were going to jump into. So for Tingle, better to get the first kill that you can find, and now they're going to get a second. They've caught out the Undying as well. Back-to-back plays here from Tingle King as he is starting to make some serious moves.
And just having this little bit of vision bottom, it finding a little bit of a greedy Undying, and Hokori really need to make this rotation towards bottom. They have the vision set
Oh my
up,
god, he's got it again. Tingle King, the man is making up for some early struggles here. He has set up 3 straight kills onto Hokori heroes. That really doesn't seem like it should be quite as easy as he's putting it together, but it's pretty simple. He blinks in, he gets a shockwave into the skewer, and his teammates are there to back him up. This time, though, yeah, you don't want to mess with that. Lumiere and Analog, a little bit too much for him to contend with, but I like this activity now from the Magnus. We've been waiting to see... Yeah, I'm hyping you up, Tingle King. You can't do this right now, man. You got to get out of there. He's not going to be able to make it away. Lumiere gets the kill, and the Jinx has officially been placed.
Yeah, unfortunately, Pingu just barely out of range for that missed coil. Otherwise, he might be able to shrug it off, but again, you were just slightly out of position there. Really shouldn't be walking, especially when you have that ward really scouting these heroes walking to your high ground, but now, finally, Hokori will have the confidence to translate some of these towers. Lumiere working on that butterfly now. It feels like a very scary timing that they're about to hit on Hokori, and I don't know if the cut really have anything to deal with that right now.
Oh, Scourge, you just need to get yourself away from this one. Falling back rapidly as Analog was looking for him, but not going to be able to make that jump in just yet. And at this point, Scourge, it's a pretty damn good thing he gets out of there. He is so close to this Ags that, honestly, could be maybe not the factor, but certainly one factor that could help the cut try and turn some of these fights around. We've had some increased activity and success from the Magnus. Between that and Scourge buffing himself up a little bit here with this Agnum's upgrade, maybe they can put something together. You mentioned earlier on, things have been looking a little bit rough for them, but they've certainly got to give it a try. As Tingle on cue, going in, looking for the RP, connecting onto the Wind Ranger. The LSA is going to be there as well for the follow-up stun. Analog? Okay, there we go. Giant comes in with the Laguna, Pingu connecting with the Mistcoil as well, and that is going to get them the kill. So, a solid pick-off for them, taking down Analog once again. But they're going to need more plays like that, but they're proving themselves capable of making these moves, and I think that's the most important part for them right now. Prior to that, we were wondering if they had the capabilities of taking these fights in the first place. So we know that they can. The question now is, do they have the execution to do it consistently? As Amisho...
Oh, in mid.
Okay, tried to jump in there, got off the Walrus Punch, but Scourge is in with that ult. There's no RP again as they just used it in that top lane, but they won't need it for now. They've taken down Amisho. Vitaly getting himself pushed back here a little bit as well. He's already used the Greaves, so at this point, he is not exactly the most durable hero in the world, and he is going to have to fall back. So, another kill for the cut. I mean, don't look now, but they are starting, bit by bit, to look a little bit more confident the longer this game sort of goes on. Is it enough?
And now... maybe. We'll see, because Medusa finally getting the Aghanim Scepter up, you have that sort of fighting power that otherwise you haven't had previously, and while you have been able to find these RPs mainly on Analog to sort of crawl your way back into this game, it feels like Hokori are they're still in the second gear. Once they hike up the gear a little bit more, and this is the push bottom where things might start to get a little bit dicey, and not having level 20 on Scourge, his mana is definitely still a finite resource.
Okay, Tingle in again with that skewer, but it is going to lead into the Eclipse, not getting off, I believe, the full duration, but the Aegis is going to bring Luna right back up. No BKB, though, so he is trapped up in the middle of this, and the cut, they're going to try to bring her down. Lumiere, though, still alive, but The Cut are still fighting their way through this. Can they actually hold the line? Not really. Giant's already been taken down. They're going to lose Tingle King as well, but Lumiere does get taken down in exchange. So at this point, maybe the Cut can successfully sort of break this fight apart, take their opponents down bit by bit, as they will finish off Vitali. However, Analog and the two supports are already making their retreat. They found the kills that they wanted, both of the supports and Tingle King taken down, but honestly, if you're the Cut, I think that goes relatively well. You still find kills, 2 main cores being taken down, the tier 3 tower still standing at the end of it. Although, fight not over yet. Scourge going to get hit up. He's going to try to pop that Stone Gaze. It'll buy a little bit of time for him. That Snowball, ambitious for El Misho, but unsuccessful, as he is going to try and fall back. Red 2 hits him with the Atos, but yeah, that's not going to turn into much of anything. Just sort of a parting gift there. And the Atos back up in a few seconds anyway. So they will fall back, but still, back to the previous point, if you're the Cut, was that an expensive hold? Sure. Yeah, it was. You lose 3 heroes, but they're able to find some big kills, and the tier 3 tower is not taken. So in terms of that high ground defense, they are still holding for now.
And I would go so far as to say that was a huge failure, a big blunder from Hokori, and it looks like El Misho might get cleaned up again. Ooh, it's a little bit hard, but
certainly making him work for it. But at the end of the day, he is still going to get picked off. Tingle King gets the kill, and yeah, this is starting to look a little sloppy, I guess we would say, for Hokori. They're losing heroes they really don't need to, trying to sort of, I guess, make the home run play in that last engagement. Instead, they're going to lose a little bit too much here. They're still up by 5k, so there's a buffer there, but they are sort of losing some steam here, as the Mag tried to go in with the Horn Toss. That didn't quite do what he wanted it to, but he's not going to lose out on much, falling back almost immediately.
And that's where you have to fear this Medusa just a little bit, especially with the SMD. Once you get that level 20 talent, that siege becomes much harder, even though you're not able to steal the mana. That used to be the real killer in the past, but it feels like the Snake is always able to just stand up and hit you and trade blow for blow. And even bottom, it felt very strange what was going on. The way that the Eclipse was used, the way that it was sort of before Lumiere really had any defensive items, and he really is all DPS. That's why he was running immediately back to his tower. But if there was ever a chance for this game to turn around, it would be after that bottom defense. And now I think the Cut, they're just trying to finish a few more items, get a few more levels, and still everything's on Tingle King. Tingle King's been waiting for his big RP for quite a while. Right now he's just going for Horn Toss plays, trying to get people to the low ground.
It is strange to me. Tingle King, since picking up this shard for the Horn Toss, he's made fewer plays with the Horn Toss than he was just blinking in for the skewer initially, as he is going to get jumped in on now. So, well, the debate really isn't going to matter too much. Tingle King taken down. Red 2 now on the run. Can he get away? Lumiere going to try to lock him down.
No
Hitting
TP.
him in with the right clicks. Yeah, no TP. He does have a BKB, though, so he can try to get away on foot. Or wing, I guess, either way. Trying to make his retreat. Scourge going to come in just to make sure his teammates getting out of there safely. But that is a BKB charge expended. That was the 9-second charge as well. And you are forced to use it defensively there. And Tingle actually bought back. Wait a minute. Okay. He's back online. The Blink RP is there, and that is something Hokori will have to show a certain degree of respect to as we see them falling back onto their own side of the map.
And up until that next Roche, it will be respawning in a minute and 15 seconds. That'll be the next point of contention. You do have that level 12 on Magnus now. You'll have that second level in RP, but once you get out of the base, it really is much more difficult for Tingle King to find those openings. That's why before we were really just seeing him sort of prey on the Wind Ranger, able to very reliably get a single RP. But really, once this fight gets a little bit more complicated, that's when Hokori are going to be able to sort of tear you out of your base and sort of push around. Once they're pushing and coming from one direction, it really is a lot simpler. But when we are working on a Satanic as well, we're really just really biding our time up until that next Roche.
Meanwhile, BKB picked up for Scourge, so that Butterfly on the Luna going to be a little bit less effective, but as you were sort of pointing out before, BKB finished off. He's working his way towards the Satanic. So the Butterfly, yeah, it's going to be less effective, but the Luna still has so much more to protect herself. But at this point, we'll see just how well that protection actually works.
Gardic.
As they're going to push their way forward. Gardic, he did pop it. Yeah, Scourge popped. Tingle,
nice.
Going in for the Horn Toss. There it is. They've been waiting on that one, but the Snowball buying some time. Will Hokori rush in to defend? They're going to try to, but it's not going to be enough. El Misho will still be taken down, so the Tusk is down for the count. He has a buyback available, though.
And Gardic, I don't know.
No.
Okay.
That one felt a little... I don't know. I mean, we know that the Cut are pushing in. Obviously, we can see everything, but the team just found a pick off there near the river. You have to assume they're going to go into the Roche pit. That didn't exactly seem like the smartest place to hide, but Either way, Gardic will be taken down. We do see him, though, almost immediately popping that buyback. So he is back on the field. He's got the Tombstone. He's got the Flesh Golem. So if this does turn into a fight around the pit, he wants to be a part of it, and he is going to have an impact. So we see the cut not exactly being too keen on pushing forward. Now that they know that Hokori are back up at full strength, they're going to not necessarily back off completely, but they're not going to be quite as gung-ho about forcing their way into that engagement.
Tier 3s as well to farm up. Neither team can really make the play. That's why we see the smoke up coming from the cut. If they can force themselves into a situation where this is actually going to grant them the Aegis, this would be huge for them, as they might be able to finally get aggressive on Hokori's side of the map, and they're just going to smoke in and hit it.
Okay. This is a bit of a risky play, but they're going to go for it. Can they actually bring Roche down?
They don't think they have enough vision here. Well, this is going to be close.
Oh, El Misho's going to scout it out. He knows. Does he go in for the snowball? Not just yet, but Gardic, look at that, throwing down the Tombstone. They're going to try and take the Scourge, though. Actually activating that Stone Gaze. They're going to try to finish it off. Who's in here for it, though? Roshan will go down. Scourge is going to be able to take the Aegis, but, well, the fight is still breaking out. Lumiere coming in, dropping that Eclipse down. Pingu will be finished off first. Red 2 falling as well, and Scourge at this point, he's all by himself. Tingle King gets picked off further to the west, and the Medusa, sure, he got the Aegis, but it's immediately just ripped out of his hands. The cheese is here for him as well, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Scourge tries to pop the Manta. It does get him over onto the other side of the wall, but that's not quite enough of a magic trick to keep him safe. He's just going to have to hold his ground in the pit, and slowly but surely, Hokori will whittle away at that shield. They get the shackle down as well for the lockdown, and Scourge will be taken out here. This is probably the slowest kill I have ever seen.
Okay.
And they will get it. Misho, though, does die at the very end, so at least Scourge is able to get something, but that play is not what they wanted. That Roche attempt ends up sort of backfiring on them. They will lose pretty much everyone.
Oh, and Vitali did a really good job suiciding in the pit and has the shard, so that Split Earth just kept on coming. I don't know if it clipped anyone on subsequent Split Earths, but it still felt incredibly hard for them to really get anything done. And forcing himself to take the shard, now we've got Cold-Blooded available to the Medusa, which will be nice. We'll be able to send a few snakes back, especially if he ever gets beamed. But at the same time, it feels like Lumiere is still very heavily outpacing this Medusa. Even though the net worth is really just continued to close in whenever SMD is able to get a little bit of farm, the supporting cast of the cut just aren't holding up to what Hokori are putting out, and I wonder when Hokori are going to make the call for this next push, as Satanic is now finished on Lumiere.
Yeah, now, how do you kill this Luna? Manta, BKB, Satanic, all available, so you effectively will have to take Lumiere down maybe 2 or 3 times in terms of that overall HP before you've actually found the kill, and as we've seen in these last couple of engagements, Scourge is really the only one who can even attempt to go toe-to-toe with that Luna. So the Satanic pickup feels maybe not quite like a death blow just yet, but it really does seem like the maneuver that puts Lumiere just that little bit more out of reach for any of those cut heroes. But they're going to have at least one more chance. They've got all their heroes up. They've still got cheese on SMD, so is it a high value, or excuse me, not high value, but high percentage play that they can make? Not really, but they've got to try. They really don't have any other way back into the game as Tingle. Yeah. Pushing out the bottom lane a little bit. Not going to stick around too long, though. TP's himself back to base before anyone can come looking for him.
And unfortunately, this is sort of the play that their lineup can really do right now. They are sort of stuck sitting on their base. If they were in a better spot, ideally you'd hopefully be sitting behind this Medusa sieging somewhere, but right now we're just a little bit too far behind with really, it's just the Viper and the Lina haven't been able to leverage their heroes. Tingle King, while being able to get a little bit of work done, it feels really scary to stand outside of the base. And even right now, this is a huge risk, and they have to sort of get on the high ground now. But
here they go. Analog going to push his way forward.
Oh no.
RP. Oh no, the RP doesn't hit anything. Tingle King will miss entirely. Scourge, meanwhile, under attack here as those hits from the Eclipse will be rapidly dropping him low. He does have the cheese. He is going to pop it now, but by the time he actually activates it, most of his teammates are dead. Pingu, though, going to try to buy back. Can he rejoin the fight in time? I sincerely doubt it, as Scourge is going to get taken down. Pingu now actually back into the fight just in time to get shackled to his teammate. This is going to turn into an absolute disaster. Pingu taken down. We do see a buyback from the Medusa, but at this point, without the cheese, I don't think he has the durability to force this one out. And Hokori, they're just going to go right in here. They're looking for the tier 3 tower, and really, what can Scourge do with just himself and Red 2 to try and hold this? There's no Stone Gaze available, so he can't just push into the middle of that fight. He almost has to sort of sit back and play defensively, but that's not going to work. Hokori are just barreling their way through these objectives. They cleared out the middle lane already. The bottom lane is looking like it's going to be taken as well. Or maybe not. Backdoor protection? No, not there for long. New creep wave gets into the base, and they will be able to clean this one up.
Well, in the Lumiere, they didn't know about the DD. They really couldn't have predicted if they didn't have vision towards that side of the map, and just not being aware of the smoke. It's a really big risk to decide to sit on that high ground as well, and Pingu not getting the sentry down fast enough. They were just completely underneath vision. Vitaly snuck up to them, got that split earth down. Doesn't have the split earth radius, but they're still pretty big. And then Scourge, unfortunately, just sitting there, doesn't have a BKB, doesn't have the works of it either, has to basically eat 2 or 3 split earths, and there's no way he's going to beat a Luna like that, just getting stunned up. And now Lumiere, he's taken all of the talents, he's 25 himself, probably going to get the shard next, and I really don't know what you do, because now it's going to just continue to get harder and harder. And Tingle King, it's really unfortunate what happened to him, just getting shackled, bullied up, immediately killed, and then not getting an RP on anyone. It's just, I don't know why you would go down to the low ground the way that they did. It really felt like it was a little too disadvantageous of a position to give up.
Yeah, and all it takes is getting yourself out of position for, what, like 1 or 2 seconds there, and we see Hokori sort of spring that trap. They take the fight, and now, really, it is down to one more engagement. If the Cut don't win this next one, I think that's pretty much it. So, everything that they have, anything that they have left, it's all got to come out in this fight, otherwise well, there is really not much left to fight with. So we'll see what they can do, but buybacks are kind of limited here. Taking a look at that count, Scourge already using his. The Abba popped one as well. Lena short on gold, so if you can get Giant 200 or so gold before the next fight, he is going to be able to buy back himself, but that leaves them, as of right now, with only 2 buybacks and maybe not on the most influential of their heroes. The Medusa can't afford to die. If she goes down, that's the end of it, really.
Well, and we'll see, probably saving for buyback on Lumineer. I think the biggest mistake Hokiri can make right now is to wait too long. If they give a little bit too much space to this Medusa, they give a little bit too many opportunities, get scared, don't push high ground. Oh, they're just trying to burst.
Okay. They hit up the Luna. Snowball, though, buying some time. BKB is at the ready. Lumiere is going to pop the BKB as well as the Eclipse, and this is all just going to fall apart. The Cut cannot hold the line. Red 2 dead. Pingu dropping low as well. He will fall. Viper is going to buy back, though, so he's back up and into the fight. Can they turn anything around here? Is Tingle going in, able to get off that skewer play, so they do manage to catch out El Misho, but as of right now, that's the only hero they've actually been able to kill. They're going to try to get onto Lumiere again with that Rod of Atos, but the Manta gets him out of trouble, and now the turnaround. Scourge dropping low. Can he hold the line here? He's dealing with so many enemy heroes. That Mana Shield almost entirely broken, and yeah, that's it. He's going to go down. GG. Scourge will fall. GG will be called. Red 2 going to get picked off one last time there as well, as Lumiere picks up an extra kill, and now they're going to try to dive the fountain. Tingle, can they finish him off in time? No, they can't. But either way, Hokori able to get themselves the win here as they really just kind of dominate, I would say, really the last 2/3 of that match.
Well, and yet again, we are seeing sort of it's a Div 1 team playing versus a team going down to Div 2, playing with 2 stand-ins. It's going to be an uphill battle for the Cut. And at the end of the day, everything sort of ended up in Scourge camp again, where everything was relied on that Medusa to sort of have a good time, was able to get a lot out of the lane, but at the same time matching Lumiere and all of the space that his team was making for him. The real MVP just being El Misho for those first 15 minutes of the game. He was just causing so much chaos, and really it felt like they didn't have a combo. They didn't have a guaranteed play. It felt like Giant needed to be a different hero. He needed to be something completely different. And you could even say that maybe for Tingle King, where both those heroes, while they're cool, while they're different, the lane was a tragedy, and after that, I really didn't feel like those heroes really did anything on the map. Tingle King maybe had 2 RPs where it felt like he was able to sort of halt what Hokori were doing, but that's just because you took down Analog. And now I think the Cut, they really need to rethink what they want to do. Otherwise, I think Hokori just going to take it 2-0.
Yeah, that's, at the end of the day, it sounds a little bit harsh, but different doesn't always mean better. The Cut go for something maybe a little unexpected, but the end result is not enough. So it was worth a try, I suppose. In the end, obviously, yeah, it doesn't work out, but worth a shot, I suppose. The Cut now, though, learning they're not going to be able to really get away with that one. So I would be, well, pretty much expecting for them to go for something maybe a bit more conventional in that second match. So we'll see whether or not that's enough. Game 2 is going to be coming up. Hokori starting to build a little bit of momentum for themselves, taking the first match of this best of 2. We'll see now if they're going to be able to close this one out, get that clean 2-0 sweep for themselves. But for the time being, we are going to be moving into a bit of a commercial break. So stick around, folks. We will be bringing that final match of the day your way in just a few minutes. Hokori taking on the Cut one last time.